Hello, folks. Good morning and welcome to another date on This Morning. It's a Thursday, May 3rd, 2018. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. This morning, corruption confronting the monster, indeed. Now, corruption, embezzlement, greed, and fraud are all relatives and are characteristics existing everywhere on the planet. What many successful jurisdictions do is to keep them to a minimum. Long before Nzeogu's coup of January 1966, the monster called corruption had done grave damage to our body politic and therefore stunted our growth. President Buhari's war on corruption may appear to be an unwinnable endeavor, but this does not diminish the need to confront it indeed. This morning I have one of the two expected guests. Let's just say Barrister Evans Ufeli, lawyer, constitutional lawyer, if you like. We expect him. But right before me is journalist, publisher, and public affairs analyst Seyi Adeyemo. Seyi, I greet you.
Good morning, sir.
All right. Money and corruption are ruining our country. Crooked politicians betray the system, and this has been a long time coming.
In my opinion, I think as a people, we have just refused to face it. In your prologue, you talked about the fact that there's a need to face it. Whether we're winning it today, we won it yesterday, we cannot afford to have corruption in the system. And if you have me go on, I would say that everywhere in the world, like you also described, this menace is there. But what people have done is to keep it at the minimal level.
Because you can't totally eradicate it.
And how do you do that? By ensuring that those who are meant to regulate it are properly taken care of. First of all, they understand the essence and the effect that corruption has on the nation, and they make sure that whoever is playing such role are well remunerated. My concern and question have always been, can't we benchmark the way we pay the police, the way we pay the judges, to the way they're paid all over the world? We need to understand that there's no way, because the bottom line for every human being is that, so how do I take care of my family? What happens? Because we all will say it, but in a passing, that what happened to the civil servant in the time of, what's that minister now that sacked a bundle of them, was what turned around the corruption story in Nigeria. And we always look away from that. So can we go back there, please, and make sure that whoever is given the role of legislating, regulating, are people that truly are committed to the job because they see the job as a job that they don't want to lose?
Now, yeah, you are in agreement. There's a need to confront this monster, this
Absolutely.
Frankenstein. Look at the EFCC. Started on very humble notes, made a lot of inroads, but years down the line, the whole thing whittled down.
The question is how or what happened then? The situation was Ribadu had an opportunity to have worked with a team that he chose. And I think they have a specialized salary at the time. He had a lot of agreement and bilateral agreement with countries all over the world. Truth of the matter is, all over the world, human beings are the same. The reason why people seemingly are adhering to the laws of the land is because they know that whatever happens, that law would be executed on them. And that is how come. Look, in Nigeria, and I refer to this all the time, when we had the war against indiscipline, right? The same Nigerians will queue. I remember a situation where I was trying to throw off a paper in the car, and the taxi man begged me. He was looking at me in the mirror and said, "Sir, Ogano, give me the paper." Because he knew that if the paper goes out, there was somebody on the road that will stop him and will deal with him. The point is,
Even if nobody was there physically, it's a mind thing.
It's a mind thing.
Yeah.
So they had worked in it. And what happened? Those who were executing it believed in the assignment. They were driven. They were people. And you see, you cannot take it away from there, because then all of us cannot legislate, all of us cannot enforce. And so those who enforce, how do you reconcile the fact that when you see an average policeman in a restaurant or an eatery, it seems like he's out of place. What is wrong with a Nigerian police officer dressed in a uniform going to some of these eateries to eat? Yeah. The point is we see them, being sort of synonymous with eating granot and ekpa. Why? Why then do we want result? Why then do we want things to be done right if we've refused? If we can only afford 10 policemen, and those are the ones that can do the job effectively, let us deploy technology and pay those 10 policemen and make sure that we train them well and make sure that they understand the assignment. I don't believe that Nigerians are the worst people in the world. We have just refused to do the right thing.
Let's look at the judiciary, which is key in this battle, Until last year when there was that operation, rattling judges and justices across the country, we thought the problem was elsewhere.
We thought. The truth of the matter is these judges are Nigerians and they go to the same market and they're in the same space with you and I. You want to have a marriage ceremony for your child, the judge comes to the wedding ceremony of a local government chairman or a politician who he knows is a nobody. But because he's in the political space, he has all the money in the world, and you expect that the judge will go back home and he has an opportunity tomorrow to do something that will corrupt the system, and we will not do it. Look, let us face the reality. The reality is that when we all were growing up, it was a normal thing when you see that a Mercedes-Benz pass, you will know in your heart that that Mercedes-Benz is likely to be driven by an accomplished man, somebody who is in his early 50s or above. But these days, a young man does anything and you are even pressured from home to go get the money, because then that is the only thing that matters in this society.
All right. The president, in spite of what some sections of this country might want to say or believe, means well in this fight.
Yeah.
So what to do?
The truth of the matter is, I will keep repeating over and over again, it's not enough to mean well. You must then do what is right. Not in this age of technology, when a lot of technology can be deployed to ensuring that a lot of things will be done. I refer to this place all the time. In those days, when you go to offices like this and people need to register before they come into the space, a lot of things are done, corruption, so that people who come at 10 will claim they were there at 5 a.m. But in an organization like this, where you need to use your thumb before you have access into this place, there's no way that you can do that. Simple technology.
You can't impugn the system.
That's the simple technology. So when people are committed to wanting a particular result, you will see it. Look, transparency. And honestly, I really don't understand that if Mr. President is, for me, an elder statesman, someone who has been in this system for a very long time. And if anyone will know Nigeria, in my opinion, it should be President Buhari. And sometimes I wonder, is it that he does not want to really do it, or that the claim that this corruption is insurmountable is true? And I, as a person,
or fighting back?
He would fight back. That is a normal thing. The fact that he will fight back is a given. Corruption will naturally fight back, because the truth of the matter is there's certain people who are benefiting from the way things are structured the way they are right now. And the only way to do it is to make sure you take them on headlong. And one of the ways is look, when we talk about Nigeria, the executives are really the civil servants. In Aso Rock, for instance, you have a permanent secretary. You have a sort of people who actually run Aso Rock. But we all think it is President Buhari that runs Aso Rock. That's not true. So who is that person? What qualifies someone to occupy such a sensitive seat? Is it because the person just rose through the rank, or the person understands the sensibility and the responsibility that goes with that? What kind of remuneration such person gets? What kind of training? What kind of exposure? Does he understand the fact that as long as we keep depleting the funds, we will never have enough to run Nigeria? Does that person understand that? You see, those are the questions we need to ask. And if we keep looking away and thinking, oh, it is the politician will be brought to book by certain structure that are already in place. But those structures, how strengthened are those structures? Those are the questions. And we need to answer those questions.
Okay then. Last year, the president signed 9 different agreements specifically on August 24, including the extradition treaty with the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
The provisions, extradition of offenders, transfer of sentenced persons, and recovery of stolen wealth. Nothing has happened.
The truth of the matter is, it's a very good thing to do because then you get a lot of result. I will refer to the fact that during Ribadu, as the chairman of EFCC, the reason why we were able to get all the results we were able to get was because of such treaties. But I will always say this, nobody outside of you will do as much for you unless you are willing to do enough for yourself. And that's why my people will say a child that knows how to raise his hands are those children that the mother or father will carry. What are we doing on the other part of the bargain? Are we truly fulfilling our part of the bargain? Now, because the truth is, if I want to share intelligence with you, I expect that you also will share intelligence with me. Everywhere in the world, you need to meet me halfway. If I'm the one who keeps telling you what is going wrong, how you ought to do things, and each time there's a need for me to get intelligence from you, you fail me, I will not judiciously deliver. And remember, most of these countries are truly funded by Nigerian money. And so why would they want to affect their economy, for our good? Why? Because at the end of the day, the world is a competitive environment. And so the truth is, charity must bring gain from home. We need to do our own work and ensure that as a people, we are ready to deal with this so-called, whatever name we want to call it, that for me is something we can deal with.
Is it possible to, score Magu's INEC, EFCC, as opposed to Nuri Badu's EFCC?
I would not want to go that way because then all of these things are situated in a particular environment and time. And those are things we need to take cognizance of. What kind of arrangement, what kind of allowances, what kind of support does one get in an office determines how that person operates. Me and you are operating in a space. Now, we're able to deliver as much as what support we get from the parent company or from the parent organization. And so the idea of judging, I would not want to go that way. What I would just say is both of them can truly deliver, and any Nigerian for that matter. All you need to do is to make sure that a Magu or a Ribadu knows what to do, make sure that he knows what consequences that comes his way, make sure that whatever he needs to do his job is made available for him. He does not need to talk to the man on the other side who is a corrupt or the culprit for him to do anything, because then you would not have the courage to go to, for instance, a Dangote, for instance, to say, look, I want to defraud your company. Can you please help me defraud your company? Because Magu or Ribadu really are the owners of the Nigerian state because of the strategic and pivotal office they occupy.
All right, then. In between, we have had Ibrahim Lamorde and Mrs. Waziri, Let's take this break, but know this for sure. Fighting corruption is not just good governance, it's self-defense. We'll be back shortly. Okay then, welcome back. Corruption facing the monster, indeed. We are joined now by Evans Ufeli. Ufeli is a constitutional attorney. Yeah. I greet you, welcome.
Good morning.
Yeah. Before you came, Sheyi had covered much ground, but let's go legal now. The Chief Justice of the Federation, Walter Onohe, mooted the idea of special courts This was last year in August. Yeah. And of course, he touched on getting courts of first instance and appeal court to accelerate hearings, but we still have those impediments.
Yes, we have those impediments because, first of all, if you look at it, our courts are congested. We have so many cases and we have few judges. So, I mean, when he mooted the idea of special court, it is an incomplete idea or an incomplete way of addressing the problem. The solution would have been to have more judges, have more courts, and then specialize them. But what he was talking about is to retain the limited number of courts and then specialize just few of them. And at the end of the day, you are still not going to achieve result because the required result would have been to expand the judiciary. Let's have more judges trained. Let's have judges even trained in forensic analysis so that when we present evidence, the court is able to appraise it because the problem we have is we try to use crude method to fight corruption, and people are committing crimes with technology, serious technology. So you have a lopsided.
What do you mean crude?
What I mean is this: like when you talk corruption now, investigation will start from the police. Okay, I mean fighting corruption will start from investigation. Okay, and then when you have a police force that is not savvied, that have no equipment or that is not properly equipped to, use technology to detect crime, and then you have offenders or suspects who are using technologies to commit crime.
Who are ahead of the system.
Ahead of the system. So that's what I'm saying. Now, back to the issue of the courts, I would have expected a situation where the courts system is expanded, the judiciary is expanded, train more judges, let's have a wider system, then specialize this court, then also take politics away from fighting corruption. Because what this government is doing, they are making the fight against corruption practically impossible and difficult. Where in a situation where if you belong to a particular party, then you are clean. If you are not in that party, you are unclean.
No, but that's been established?
It's been established. We should take, what I'm saying is we should take politics away from the fight against corruption if we want to succeed. If we still...
But this is not to preclude starting from a particular point.
Of course. We've started already.
Yeah.
We've started already. All we need is to expand it. Okay, take politics away from it. Because as it stands now, there is still politics in the fight against corruption. And you can't have both. It won't work.
I think I like the fact that he talked about the expansion of a court, making sure that judges, and like I said, and I've said over and over again in this program, I believe as a people we are not committed to really wanting to fight this fight. Because for me, the first thing to do in that case, for instance, is to say, okay, what do we need to execute this assignment? And what we need first is to get the judges. The next thing is to train them so that we can have the people to execute the job. Then we refer to the fact that if you want to conduct an investigation in a time like this where crimes are pursued or executed at a particular level and you're using a moribund, strategy to pursue it, for me, ab initio, you don't want to do it. So the thing is, we should say to ourselves, we want to cook for 10 people. Have we prepared the necessary ingredient to cook for that 10? It's not something we do talking about or announcing and sometimes I wonder, are we really dealing with something that is not ours? Are we in a film or this is our thing? If it's our thing, then it's as simple as we do not want people to come late, put an equipment at the door, and at that time, that equipment does not know who is coming. It just attends to you as long as you put your finger on it. End of story. So when he talks about removing politics from it, he's not really addressing whether it is this party or that party. What we're saying is the only way to make this work is to make it a ruler or a line, does not recognize anybody other than whether you do wrong, you would be penalized. If you do right, you will pass. Simple as ABC.
All right. Evans, you took off by saying courts are congested.
Yes.
Who causes the congestion?
The litigants are much. The population is heavy. People are in...
Not that cases are deliberately slowed down.
No, cases are not deliberately slowed down. Not necessarily.
You
there are
don't
cases,
rule that out?
No. It can't be ruled out. There are cases where, of course, lawyers sometimes, we want to delay cases because of peculiarity, certain issues around surrounding.
But
ultimately,
it's a part of the problem.
no, ultimately, the judicial system has also placed some mechanisms to discipline such. If the court, in its wisdom, finds out that you are deliberately delaying a matter, a cost is levied against you. Sometimes the court will suo motu, and the adverse party will also ask for costs and this is really executed to make sure that people don't overdrag. Even in the rules of professional conduct, is there that we must guide the clients within the bounds of law to make sure that things are done expeditiously and cases are dispensed with. But ultimately, the major factor is that the litigants are much, the judges are few. And you know what it takes to go through the ranks and to become a judge. So it's not every lawyer that can even, qualify to become a judge at the long run. So what I think now is that the system should be expanded to that effect so that we can have more hands to do the job, given that the population is quite large. I mean, we have judges serving in the Gambia, in many African countries, So if we have them there, we could recruit more internally as well, because...
But where's the problem?
No, the problem, like I said the problem is we have to expand the system. The government, the judiciary must be decisive on this, because if you look at the legislature, for example, which is actually a part that represents all extraction of the country, it is given that you must have certain number of senators from certain number of states, representative and all that, which make the full house. Now, in the judiciary, there's nothing like that. You just appoint, people apply, and they get. So let's expand it. Let's give it an expansion. That's what I'm saying. And when we have that, then we have a stronger judiciary. Then the mechanism to check corruption, even within the judiciary, is also critical. Because when you want a court to sit on, to preside over corruption matter, and the same court itself is complicit, you are still not going to get the results with the fight against corruption. So 3 things: take away politics, reform the judiciary, expand the court, then let's have...
Who injects politics into it?
Society.
Okay.
Society injects society, because, it was a French politician that said that, that man will never be free until the entrails, that is the intestine of the last king, is used to hang the last priest. The last king standing for politics and the last priest standing for religion. That as long as those two factors or elements are present in society, man will never be free. But man can reduce its hardship. Man can use mechanism to reduce the disadvantages emanating from these two institutions, which has really held man down.
Sheyi, at the National Assembly, House, Senate, you have a preponderance of lawyers, like my friend here, and their big job is to make laws. And the president presented 2 bills to the House since 2016, February. Nothing has happened. So we are looking at the National Assembly, its involvement in this fight.
They're a part of Nigeria, and as long as the way things are continues or remains the way it is, in whatever area of life, whenever things get there, whether in the medicine or in the medical environment, you will discover that people will naturally slow up a system to benefit from it. So as it is right now, as long as there's a bill that is supposedly designed to address some of their excesses, and the system does not check them to ensure, look, we can demand from these people and say that when a bill comes into a house, one of the ways we judge your performance is how expeditiously you deal with it. But nobody asks any question. When you look at the House on TV, it is embarrassing for me that you have some very few people seated there at all times. You just have very few people there at all times congregating to deal on most of this matter. So, like he referred to, we have, not minding the fact that we have certain numbers that is expected to be there, the few numbers of people who are usually present probably cannot deal with this thing as fastly as we expect that they will deal with them. So those are things we need to cater for so that we will not continue to have this problem that is in all the stratas of our life. Everywhere.
And we should also begin to look at political suffrage, qualification for contesting elections.
Yes.
You see, because when you say once you are 18, you can be voted for and you can vote, I think that was done in the primitive era. These days, we should begin to look at it. If you are having corruption cases against you, just like most of the governors who are now senators, it should be discharged with before you should be allowed to contest election.
If you have a pending case,
yes,
deal with the case
first.
Discharge yourself of liability.
Yeah.
Then before you can be qualified to vote or be voted for. Let's begin to look at the constitution from that line. Because in the West, why they don't look much...
Western world.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Western world. Why they don't look much at that is once there is an allegation against you, there's a natural tendency that you resign. Okay? There's a natural tendency. But since here,
It's
we
not
don't
in our
resign
system.
when we have such, then we need to take it into the laws. Look at the Senate president.
Who makes these laws?
I mean, the Senate.
The National Assembly.
Yeah.
The National Assembly, rather, but you individuals can also sponsor bills, okay, and put pressure on the National Assembly to do the needful.
You see
So,
that succeeding here?
of course, it can succeed. We've
Private
had private
citizen
bills.
bill.
Yeah, we have private. You have pressure groups coming together to push for bills, so that because if we leave it at this level of 18 voted for. And our peculiarity, our own democracy, is not
We'll
as
be there.
civilized as it should be.
All right, we must take another break here, but don't lose it. Corruption facing the monster frontally, or if you like, indeed. We'll be back. Okay, welcome back. Many thanks, you're still there. Barrister Ofeli, we left off at a very interesting point.
Yes.
18, get voted for or vote
Yes,
18.
that's the law.
Brings me to electoral corruption, which is the worst.
Yes. It is the worst because if you don't get it right at that level, forget about every other thing, because the system is corrupt. Through electoral corruption, the wrong people are thrown up for representation. And when they get there, what they do is to begin to make laws that will only satisfy their, personal interests. The ones that are really, really important, laws that are expected to accelerate and help Nigerians access democracy, will be jettisoned. Section 14, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended says that it is hereby accordingly declared that sovereignty belongs to the people, through which government derive our legitimacy. That the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. Okay, so when we have politicians who don't understand that the security and welfare, that's the two pillars of governance, and in a country where you have the absence of both, and you have a legislative chamber, you have institutions, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it, tells you that the electoral system is faulty. And we must deal with the electoral system vis-a-vis dealing with the full, larger elephant scale corruption, which is, militating against the development of this country. We have so much, we have so little. Okay? So we must deal with the root of it, and that is checking this electoral corruption.
No wonder the war on corruption is a very crazy one. Not only him, things like, is it because it does not belong in your party? That's what he meant by corrupting the system.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I think we people need to do is, first of all, to begin to ask ourselves, this man that is showing up from this area and saying he wants to go and contest to be either in the state house or at the federal level. Who is he in this area? And I think those are things we need to do, because you see, we're now clamoring for just going to, collect at PVC. And I said to myself, so if you collect your PVC, who do you vote for? Who is that person that is going to show up? Do we have any system as a people to say, no, this man cannot be this because I know him, he's so-so person, he's so-so person, he's so-so person. And I believe that those were the reasons why all of us popularly voted for President Muhammadu Buhari, because we believed in his antecedents. And so the question is, do we check that across the board? Because if we have not been able to successfully do this by law as a people, do we ask ourselves the question, this person, and I think we need to start to demand for what I call town hall meetings. We need to demand for those things so that they must prove.
You can have talkbacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can't come to my area. I want to be a local government councillor, for instance, and I don't know you at all. So before election, you must talk to us. We must ask questions, and we must find a way whereby those who know you can tell us about you. If not, then we should not allow you go in.
You should also remember that it is only 15%.
So, sorry, let me. I'm keeping Afolabi here in Lagos waiting. Welcome, Afolabi.
Hello, good morning.
How do you do, sir?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay then.
Thanks for this program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying your program.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is my contribution concerning this corruption issue.
Yeah.
The thing is, what I would like, as far as I'm concerned, we Nigerians keep getting something wrong. And what are we getting wrong? As to my own little knowledge, there's a semblance of sanity in the executive now. The whole madness that we have now and we are not taking attention to is the National Assembly and the judiciary. And I think that we would have gotten well, or the judiciary would have had some level of sanity if the National Assembly have had some level of sanity. Because then they are the ones who create law that the judiciaries are going to use to implement to do their jobs. Now we have a National Assembly that is full of funny characters, people who are paying attention to realities. Now people are dying in Zamfara, Taraba, and Benue. The Senate never deemed it fit at those critical points, to invite the IGP to come and answer questions. Then when one of the senators was being a miscreant to the law, then the IGP was asked to come and answer questions on why people are being killed or why the senator was treated in a certain way.
Okay then.
You see, the thing is, we electorate are the ones who need education now.
Okay.
The president of Nigeria, as far as I'm concerned, with their own little knowledge, has little power. He doesn't have absolute power. A lot of the things he has to do have to go to National Assembly. So if the president has to go to National Assembly to take decisions, and the National Assembly are not in alliance with the executive, then there is a problem.
All right.
When the foundation is bad, what can the builder do?
Thank you, Afolabi. Many thanks. Gentlemen, so?
Yes, I was going to say that arising from what he said, if you look at even the electors or the electorate generally, you find out that it's only 15% of the electors that are even interested in politics. It's been established during the last election, only 15% voted. And now that is the way our society is. If you are doing anything that has to do with aesthetic, arts and all that, only 5% is interested.
Yeah, is it having to do with voter education or something?
No. It has to do partly with that and partly with the fact that people are discouraged or disenchanted.
Have you heard any such thing as a Nigerian dream?
Well, I've heard one or two motivational speakers, talking about the Nigerian dream. No, not government, really. Not government, because we don't really know whether there's a Nigerian dream.
The Nigerian dream is not propelled by government. It is a people.
Yes,
it's like the American dream.
Yeah, it's supposed to be propelled by the people, but the kind of people we have within our space are people who have lived in deprivation for too long. In my own opinion, I think that many people are not interested in governance. People are interested in just survival. How they can survive.
I think that's
all that.
I think that's an unfortunate thing, and we need to quickly deal with it, because you see, then whether we like it or not, whatever decision they take, we all see it now that it has a very direct effect on our lives. And so the idea of saying whether we're disenfranchised or that we're angry and all of that, then there's no excuse, because we have a certain number of years to live in our lifetime. And whether we like it or not, that time is passing by the second. And so if we do not do something about it now, and one of the ways, apart from picking up a PVC, is to be certain who is this person, at least for the legislator. It has been established that there's a major problem there. Who would eventually come represent us as a people in this area? Whatever area we all live in, we must take care and make sure we know that person.
Let's welcome Yakub here in Lagos. Yakub, good morning.
Good morning, citizen.
Yeah.
Good morning to the two white men in the studio.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think your guest has already said a lot, and then I really love the two gentlemen in the studio for what they are contributing this morning. And then the last caller said something very, very important. A situation whereby, let me give you some of example, like one or two. One, our budget lie down in that National Assembly. I can tell you, they don't pass that bill, that budget. It's not all because of Nigerian citizens, or because they want to do the diligence, or they synchronizing that budget. They don't pass that budget all because they expect something from the executive. Because they really want executive to give them some certain part of that budget in order to enrich themselves. Mm-hmm. It is not because of Nigerian citizens. But Nigerian citizens as a whole, we have already lost some certain issues that we ought to take off in order for us to put this thing in the right perspective. Let me give you a typical example as well. Sheikh Usmani mentioned that the legislature are taking 13.5 million as a running cost in this country. And then the Revenue Mobilization Committee come out that they don't aware of that. And then where is the civil society of this country? The Nigerians are saying, the voter on the street, where are we? The CAN, the Christian Association of this country, where are they? The Muslim organization of this country, where are they? We need to mobilize ourselves in order to protect this kind of activity, because Sheikh Hussain is a member of the National Assembly, and then he came out to tell us that they're taking 13.5 million as a running cost for a single senator. And then the Revenue Mobilization Committee said they don't know about this. What is that? Is it not a corruption? And then Nigeria said that we are not, the executive are not, the government can never
Yakub, you are constraining me.
Our support.
Yakub,
if this law still remains the way it is, if you go to Obama on top of this war, so this country, it will fail.
Thank you, Yakub.
We need to change our law.
You don't do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, I was going to ask, if he was at the assembly, would he reject 13.5?
That question is for him to
No, I'm not asking you to answer it. But again, apathy, at one end, at the other end, sustaining the system.
Well, it's corruption. It's corruption, really, because how can you make law to say that a worker should earn 18,000? You are also a worker, and you are earning 13 points. It's corruption.
And isn't it intriguing, the revenue and mobilization?
And they say they don't know about it.
They say they don't know. So who is saying what?
We have to dismantle that institution for that statement, because they are the ones who fix the remuneration. So how come that the people are earning this and you don't know about it? It means you don't know what you're doing.
So if you take up arms against corruption, it's like climbing over Kilimanjaro without AIDS.
Because at the end of the day, like I said, in all the stratas of our life, everywhere, one of the reasons why we're sitting here today, and I'm thankful that we are able to sit here today, because some certain people in Lagos dealt with Ebola, frontally. Look, if they had looked at the fact that, so what's my business? How do I benefit from this? Today, a lot of us will have died from that menace. So those are the things we need to start to understand. What is the end product of this? All of these things that we're talking about and playing about is the reason why we're at the base that we're still at, not minding.
Shay, let me invite in Samson from Warri. How are you?
Good morning, Citizen John.
Welcome, sir.
And good morning, our panel.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir. You reject something very well, sir. If we check that, if we are to talk of corruption, anti-corruption, if we could check very well, the early period of this administration, they presented a bill to them, anti-corruption bill. The Bill Jones, where is the bill? That one, they will never work on it. Our budget has been with them since November last year. Nothing was done. But sequence of election passed through under 2 weeks. You see, this thing is very simple. And the only way we can have a good National Assembly, I don't want to even talk about executive because all those ones are appointees. I heard from the national television day before yesterday when Minister of Labour said his own total money was now there 40,000. Said no more, no less. But somebody had 30.5 million as the running cost. Where is the running to? And we always praise all these people that they are doing community projects. Have they sold any of their family property, land, or they have done any community job for us? Nothing. They're only robbing Paul to pay Peter. And the best way we can work on this is to regulate them. They're not reporting to anybody. They're not even reporting to, I don't even know my senator. I don't know his constituency. I don't know how enough is. I think the best way we can do is to regulate this. If not, nothing good will come out of it. Good morning, sir.
Thank you, Samson. Are we in a quandary?
Yeah, it is the people that will regulate them. It is the people that will regulate them.
Yeah.
The people will regulate them by making sure that they vote in the right persons, one, and making sure they recall them when they act funny.
Oh, come on, don't go there. you attempted that in Kogi?
The Constitution itself needs to be looked at because as it is very academic and impracticable. I said it here on this thing that you cannot recall anybody because Section 68, if you read Section 68 of the Constitution in sync with Section 69, you will discover in Section 68, after everything is done, you still bring it to the National Assembly for the National Assembly to give it effect. So you are the judge. I mean, you want to sentence me. When you finish your judgment, you bring it to me to read and rewrite it, to sentence me. And you think I will not write that the state sentenced me. I will turn it over to society. So you can't really recall anybody.
So in the short,
are we in a quandary?
That's also corruption.
So in the short run, election is around the corner. As Nigerians, who are the kind of people we want to go into the National Assembly? Those are the questions we need to ask ourselves. Because you see, I feel that we're all guilty, particularly some of us who claim that we're educated, we're advanced, we are exposed. Are we saying that it is impossible to mobilize ourselves as a people in areas to make sure that we determine and know the category? Because there's nothing wrong with shouting people down and saying this person does not deserve our vote, at least in this legislative senatorial area all of that. And fortunately for us, in my own opinion, that is even sort of broken down to areas. So why can't we start to address it from there? We have an opportunity knocking at the door. I hope we're going to take proper
All right, we have Olawale at Ikorodu here. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning, Citizen Jones.
I greet you, sir.
God bless you. I greet you too.
Yeah.
And to our contributors there too.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, let me quickly make a class here. Good morning, Citizen Jones.
Yes.
Go on, sir.
Yeah. God bless you. I greet you.
Ignore those noises. Please, ignore those noises. Go on. Are we in business? Oh dear, this interference we can't take. I'm sorry about that. Better luck next time. Yeah.
Yes, I was going to say that the system as it is now, we must begin to rejig it.
Because it is man-made.
Yes, it is man-made. And remember that even those who we say they deserve the votes, and we voted them, when they get there, they are corrupted by the house, by the system. There is a system running there. They are unaware. We entrust them with our votes, our allegiance. When they get there, they still won't perform.
No, but I think if we want to be honest with ourselves, I think that's one area that we have not done a thorough job on. We are not going to honestly say that these are the best we can present from our areas.
These are not the best.
Definitely.
Really.
So we as Nigerians, we need to ask us, because you see, then you cannot, for any other reason, present a less qualified group to go and represent. World Cup is around the corner. If you do it, you are going to regret it, for the rest of your life.
The governor, for example, that is standing the trial of corruption couldn't have been the best.
Yes.
We have over 21 of them over there, or 16 of them.
Okay. Let me quickly reach out to Mazi Okorafor Arochukwu. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sir Jones. Good morning,
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. You see, we can only fight corruption when we stop recycling of personnel. That is where we can fight corruption. When we give people who are role models to be at the helm of the affair, and when we look at people who are proactive in taking action, and we to count on people who are God-fearing. When we fail to look at this, just these 3 or 2 factors I've just mentioned, there is no how we can solve. Now look at the situation where we are in Nigeria today. A chief executive has come into the office. Before you have been criticizing the man who was in your own office. Now you are now coming in now. We expect you to bring in a system that is acceptable to even their own organization and to the public. Now what do we see? You come back and say, this is our turn. That statement, this is our turn, is what is making corruption to decrease. We are just advertising corruption in Nigeria. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Many thanks. So we are up against a sea of troubles.
A serious sea of trouble.
Yeah.
And we must fight it because we can't grow beyond.
How do you fight it?
What we do, we create the parameters
No,
for it.
here, recall what the last caller said.
That we're only
Now our turn.
Yes.
Why, and so.
That kind of mentality, we must, in fact, what I think we should do, there should be a reorientation. Let's know that this thing is our commonwealth. And if it's our commonwealth, it should go around. Everybody should have it. And everybody can be comfortable. Okay, but this greed, this power show, this, way we do things, it's really...
Ofeli, you are Delta. Does it matter in Delta State where your governor comes from? Does it matter?
It doesn't really matter as long as the commonwealth is shared among the people in such a way that I cited it here that the security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government by the Constitution. The Constitution has stated that, but the politicians have not seen it that way. I mean, those who are in oppositions and all that have not seen it that way.
Shay, as we begin to coast home now, what to do in this fight against corruption? Because Olawale is here from Ikorodu. Olawale, welcome.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay, welcome back. Yeah.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay then.
Let me quickly make my contribution. Hello?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Let me make a clarification concerning the salary of the legislators. The Revenue Mobilization and Physical Commission, their official salary is 1.1 million. These people fix their own salary for themselves. Right from Obasanjo's time, Obasanjo fought them tooth and nail during his own time, but he couldn't achieve anything. Then secondly, if a senator who is supposed to be a lawmaker decides to be a lawbreaker, should the police hold their hand? Melaye should be dealt with according to the law. God bless you.
Yeah, Olawale, I was going to ask if he's one of them. How does he know that much? But you take it's from an informed source.
Yes.
RMF AC fixes 1.1 million for the. So how come it got to 13 million?
Yeah, because they control
corruption.
Corruption, they control a lot about national income and all that. They control a lot. They have a lot of way to go about issues, and they've been able to, use it to enrich themselves instead of the people they represent.
I wish I've seen the book of Okonjo-Iweala. Corruption fight is
dangerous.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous to fight corruption.
Now,
so I'm looking at the imagery.
Yeah, because then, a person who came from a particular society came here in the belief that she could contribute her own quota. And I'm sure from my experiences, the time she served, she's seen things that she never believed were possible. And the question is, so how was she able to operate in that other area? Why? Because the laws and the regulations are manned and executed by those who are driven, properly educated, properly remunerated, and so you cannot have the courage to want to take them on and say to them, can we do it this way? It won't work. We all travel, and anytime we leave here to those other areas, I don't understand us. We all fall in line, and because you know that those people will not will not allow you go on their lines. They won't allow you.
Fighting corruption is dangerous. I'm trying to see the danger. Adeshina is our last caller, not the least caller. Welcome, Adeshina.
Good morning, sir.
I greet you, sir.
Good morning to your guests.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Talking about the corruption. And your guest inside the intro, it did mention that our value system in 50s is different from the value system we have today now.
Yeah.
And just like we have been, as the current administration has been talking about change, everyone must be a change agent. And there's also a claim that said that the society produces the type of leaders they want. Now we need to look at this. Corruption is the major problem of that issue is tackled headlong. We will not go anywhere. And this is what I feel this corruption can stop. Our institution must be fighting. But I think that one person who don't have your own money to sponsor a community for election. It is the community will look for leaders.
Thank you, Shina.
Who know they can rule.
We got you first time. We got you first time. Thank you, Shina. Corruption is the major challenge, nothing else. Yeah. And you believe it or not, corruption has brought about Boko Haram. Corruption has brought about herdsmen's killings and so on.
Everything.
Yeah, how do you close?
So we need prosperity managers to take over. As long as we have this kind of managers. Prosperity, not imported, we're all prosperity managers. Okay. What do I mean by that? Understanding all you have just enumerated, that if you don't do it well, Boko Harams will be birthed, and all of these things will happen. They will naturally happen. We have just started. If we continue this way, other things will happen, because those other things are a product of the fact that we have refused to be prosperity managers, people who are able to look at the scarce resource and make sure that they manage it in such a way that everyone will benefit from it. As long as you have people who think what they need to do is to take care of their pocket, at the end of the day, we would have more problems coming at them and coming at everybody.
Yeah, we must work on three elements, major elements. The legal system, the institutions, and the human capital. We must get and fix them right. And from the standpoint of the legal system, we need to have new set of laws that will reflect the current and global trend for which you can actually eliminate corruption. Then the institution must be well, must be well rejigged to deliver on its promises, to deliver to democracy and all that. Then the human capital, there must be reorientation, there must be re-education of the people. The people must begin to get involved in the system and make sure that things are done right.
All right, let me thank you, Barrister Evans Oferi, for coming.
Thank you.
Sheyi Adeyemo, many thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Okay then. Now, fighting corruption is not just good governance, it is self-defense. I guess we have a choice. That's it for this morning. There's another program tomorrow morning. Join Yori Folari bright and early at 10:30. I'm out of here. Bye-bye now.